Things are getting worse around here, aren't they? Too many things are changing here. Everybody just talks about how afraid they are of dying. Well, I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here.
You can't save them all.
Welcome, everyone, back to Horror with Nadia. And today we are, well, you know where we're here. We're discussing Season 3, Episode 3 of From Mousetrap. But before I get into it and bring my panel on, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who helped me get to 500 subs. Still climbing that YouTube algorithm. So please hit that like button and subscribe. Couple housekeeping things. Tonight, my dear friend Leon is actually having a fundraiser for one of our individuals in the community that is a pillar of it, Sonia, if you know her. So I will link the YouTube link in the description, but if you could do so, please join Leon tonight. All super chats are going to be going to Sonia. She's having a rough time right now with both health and some financial issues. So let's support each other. Let's help each other out. And I will drop that link right now in the chat. And it should be later tonight. And then one other thing, today I have Julie back on with me discussing From. I'm very excited about that. And on that note, she had an awesome deep dive that just streamed about a couple minutes, maybe 30 minutes ago. And I'm going to drop that link as well. But let me bring on the panel, Julie and Chris. Hi, guys. How's it going? While I look for this link.
Hi.
Live.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Julie, I love your deep dives. Both me and Zach's really enjoy them. You spend way more time than we do on it, which I appreciate all your hard work in looking at every frame by frame of this show, which I love.
I go a little too crazy, to be honest. And
Okay.
but thank you for bringing up my video, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I run myself ragged with this show. It's an obsession. I really, I can't seem to stop.
Hey, we get it. Chris and I really enjoyed this since season 1. We've been enjoying deep dives, and I'm so glad we've stumbled across each other and that we've built this friendly friendship.
I'm so glad we could connect too. It's awesome.
Chris, how are you?
Can you hear me? Let's start there.
Yes, can hear you.
Woohoo! Fantastic. We're working through some audio computer issues, but otherwise we're surviving.
You're surviving? Okay.
Yep.
All right. I want to say
Mostly
hi
on
to the
rotten vegetables. What?
Oh, are you gonna give birth to a nightmare baby? Nightmare creature baby?
I'm eating rotten vegetables, not Taco Bell.
Oof. I feel like sometimes it could be the same thing.
I love you, Taco Bell. Please don't be insulted.
Yes, sponsor us. Hi, Dark Hour. Hi, Melvin. Zach is going to be joining us in a little bit. He's got some stuff to attend to. Jana.
He's picking out the perfect tank top.
Cannoli, right? From the child's side of Gap. All right. So this episode is called Mousetrap, which I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like the synopsis for it. So I feel it might be a little bit of a filler episode, but I think it lays out some clues for us. So this episode is Kenny leads a group into the forest in search for food as Donna and Ellis try to talk Boyd out of a dangerous plan. Meanwhile, Tabitha makes a mind-bending discovery. So I thought we would talk about it in groups, talk about what's happening in the town. I'll bring up the episode and we can scrub a little bit through it, and then talk about those that are foraging for the food, and then we'll dive into Tabitha, kind of split into 3 different groups. So let me pull up the episode. Cool. So last episode ended with Jim getting a phone call from his dead son, Thomas, which I didn't know they made phones in the afterlife.
Air quotes, Thomas.
Air quotes, yes, because when Thomas passed away, he was a baby. He rolled off a changing table, I believe, and died. And it was a phone call that distracted them that led to him passing away as well. which is
Mhm.
interesting that this entity knows this and has been, I think this is just him, the entity or whatever evil is going on is just trolling Jim. But I wanted to get you guys' opinion. What do you think this is going to lead to, like, Jim's villain arc, right? He's going to go crazy and just do something not Jim-ish, or is this just them trolling just to get more emotions out of it? Oh, and
Yeah.
before you go, sorry, Jana, it doesn't happen on screen or in this series. Just FYI, it's like off series. It doesn't happen. So, all right, go ahead, Julie. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that this is going to drive Jim more and more to his breaking point. It's really clear to me that it's not just about breaking Boyd. I mean, Boyd said himself in the first episode of the season, "This place will not break us." I think it's actively trying to break everyone. It's just focusing on Boyd more. But I mean, I think that this is just another effort to break yet another resident. And I think Jim is going to get more and more strung out over this. And most likely, knowing this show, he won't tell anybody. So he won't even have support in dealing with it. No one seems to communicate much of anything on this show. But yeah, that's my thought on it.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I don't
No,
mean to interrupt.
No. I was just saying that's my thought on that. No, I was all set with that. At that point.
I have a follow-up question for you on this. What do you think is the end goal for this entity, or if it's multiple entities? Like, what do you think in your mind, like tinfoil hat? What do you think is the end goal for this?
I think that this entity that is doing this to all these people, that is trying to break people psychologically, it's actually feeding on their fear and their pain. It's not just about killing them. If it wanted to, it could just kill them all at any time. I mean, it can see and hear them all the time. And if you think back to when there were no talismans, they were like hiding in holes. Well, if this entity can see them, like, it can apparently see and hear everything. It knew Tabitha was digging in the basement based on that voice on the radio. It heard Boyd in the middle of the woods when he said, "This place will not, you will not break me. You don't break me." Okay, so you have to wonder, okay, then it's not just about killing everyone. It's about terrorizing them. It seems to be feeding on their fear and their pain. And ultimately, the end result, the end goal, I think the end game is to have a massacre like 1978. But in the meantime, it's going to feed on all of this suffering and this fear. That's what I think.
So do you think every time, when Tabitha saw the different times that were put on, that each of those ended with just some sort of massacre that is the end goal and it's just a repeat cycle? I know fans have been theorizing with that.
Yes, absolutely. I think every cycle ended with a massacre, possibly with a sole child survivor every time. We don't know yet. It could be that Victor was an anomaly. Maybe there was not supposed to be a survivor, but I definitely think each cycle ended with a massacre. But in the meantime, yeah, it's not just about killing them, it's about terrorizing the survivors and that constant fear and dread they have to live in, and messing with them with these mind games. This is just like the evil entity is upping its trolling game with this Thomas stuff. It's really sadistic. It's
Yeah.
violent.
I was wondering the other day if this is a selection process for something for the entity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that it's the last one standing would theoretically be the strongest, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're taking them out one by one, maybe the new nightmare creature, maybe a new, I don't know, avatar. Who knows? It's from always more questions than answers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It could be like some kind of a test, like Jim was wondering in season 2, maybe this is some kind of experiment to see how far they can push us until we break. I don't think it's humans conducting an experiment, but maybe it's trying to see who can hold out the longest, who's going to break. And interestingly, Victor's name literally means the winner of a game. Victor means victorious.
Right.
So maybe he won the last round. Who knows?
I like a couple of these comments we got. Hello, Marjam. I I don't speak English. MK Ultra
Marjoram.
experiment. Thank you. Government and entity. Oh, this hurts my soul. Everything the government hurts everybody's soul, right, Jana? I called the government today. Can confirm they're trying to kill us slowly. I liked this one
The
from Melvin,
fluoride in the water.
but I think they're all basically Pennywises multiplied, because Pennywise has a similar concept where he just likes to. The more fearful his victims is, the more delicious that individual is. So it could be something similar to here, where maybe not the entity finds it, but that's how they feed the nightmare creatures. Could be. It's MK Ultra and LSD in the water. That's also something I thought is very strange, that their water, that they drink it. I mean, I get it. Survival instincts, like you.
Well, what
at
choice
the
do you
end of
have?
the day. Yeah, but could they be slowly poisoning them in some way, or giving them something in the water, since they all drink out of each of the faucets, either at the house or at the hippie house up in the thing? Like, they all are drinking out of these pipes. Could they slowly be poisoning them or drugging them in some way?
Maybe, everyone, it's funny because they put so much energy into questioning where the electricity comes from in season 1. Like, where are all these wires coming from? And it's a fair question. It's really bizarre, but no one has questioned about the water. Like, what's with the running water? It shouldn't really be working like this. Where is it coming from? It's possible it could be drugged.
Well, after they checked on the electricity, they were in multiple ways told to effectively stop digging.
True. Very true.
Well, yeah. And then we have Jim here, who doesn't communicate to Boyd that he got a phone call from his dead son. You would think that would be very important to tell, learn from the last. Well, I guess they as characters wouldn't learn from the last season, because I feel like the last season, one of the biggest issues was communications between characters. So I feel like all this stuff you've gone through, your wife is now gone. The incident that happened with the Miss Lou and the cows and stuff, you would think you would say, hey, by the way, Boyd, this entity is messing with me. I'm getting phone calls from my dead son.
Yes.
All these people have never seen a horror film. They just, you got to keep it all, boxed in, like your emotions and any secret that could, potentially help everybody survive and escape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God, this lack of communication, again, so frustrating, right?
In a survival, I mean, I guess humans will be humans, right? Our first reactions are all different, right? Fight or flight. But I would think if you've been in this town long enough, you would think, okay, we need to really communicate with each other. Things are trying to kill us out there. So like, we all need to be on the same page and figure out what's going on. But I'm curious to know, and a question for both of you. Do you think these are just random people now after these two seasons now into the third? Or do you think each of them are being selected? My theory is that they're being selected just based off the whole thing going with Tabitha this season.
Yes, 100%. I've always felt they're handpicked. Not everybody. I don't think all the red shirts are handpicked. And some people just got unlucky that they were in a vehicle with someone who was a chosen one. But I think now we have real, like a confirmation kind of that based on Miranda's story that there are chosen ones. She and a bunch of others before her were picked for this. And I don't think it's just her in that role. I think it's Jade and everyone who's filled his role before him, like Christopher, I think. So I think certain people are targeted specifically and brought here for a reason to exploit certain weaknesses they have, or like for all different reasons. Absolutely. Yeah. Like Father Kotri is a great example. Yes. I think he was picked. He thought that he heard the voice of God one night, told him to get back in his car before he was about to jump off a bridge. 2 hours later, he was in Fromville. I mean, that to me, that can't be a coincidence. I think some entity wanted him there. So that's what I think.
There's like a 1% tinfoil chance that this is true, and I really don't know enough about what I'm about to say to really make the connection. But there's a small part of me that thinks it would be cool, especially because, Tilly pulled out that tarot card deck. So there'd be like the main cast is effectively fulfilling the roles of the the major arcana.
Ooh.
Interesting. I like it. I like it.
I have no idea if there's enough there to connect anything, but it sounds cool.
I like that. That's a really cool take. And I know some people who would love that too. Taron Matharu, he's had a tarot card theory from the beginning of the series, and he thinks that people fill specific roles, like the Hanged Man. And I don't know enough about tarot to give a bunch of examples, but yeah, he'd be psyched at that. He would agree, I think.
And it would be Tilly to introduce a tarot deck this episode. She's so sus to me. The more and more, but I feel at the same time
you were starting to say you think she's for the side of good.
She might be. I don't think she's for the side of good. I think she's the side of lawful neutral, where she is there to just make sure things stay balanced, not necessarily for good or evil. She's just kind of in between. But also after this episode, I feel like she might be a red herring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost.
I would be mad at this point.
Yeah,
it's just given too much. Like there's too much of Tilly in this season, in the last of the second season, to be like, because we're all sus of her, right? We're all like, there's something weird about this lady. She always seems to have an answer for everything. Somehow her experiences always relate to what's happening. Like she brings up in this episode licking eggshells to kind of help comfort Fatima with her weird rotten food thing. And I feel like she's weirder and weirder, but at the same time, she's too weird, like too in your face about it, right? Mm-hmm. It's just not subtle enough. So maybe she's a red herring. Chaotic neutral.
So
maybe.
So your opinion, she is From's Mephisto?
Maybe.
Everybody thinks she's sus, just not a thing at all.
Maybe she could be. She could be the reason. She also, part of me still believes she's a mole for something, but part of me is like, maybe she's just a crazy grandmother who's just stuck in this world. You know, she was diagnosed with cancer that's going to kill her. She's in a crossroad in her life, right? Like, how do you continue life with that? And then she gets sent to this town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I tend to agree with you now. I've had my eye on her for a while. Like a lot of people, I've gone with the whole, it's a meme at this point. Fanny Pat Granny is sus, and we all laugh about it. She pops up at all kinds of weird times and she seems to know everything that's going on all the time. She became the town gossip like the moment she arrived, which is not a normal reaction for someone who just got to a town full of monsters. So, I mean, I kind of think, though, at this point, it is a bit too obvious. It's too heavy-handed. It's slapping us in the face at this point with this sus behavior. And I almost feel like the writers this season are kind of trolling us with our own fan theories. It seems like they're writing them into the script. And now, Boyd is trying to catch a monster in the same way fans have hoped for since the beginning. And Tilly looks more sus than ever. We even had Fatima saying a line to her that sounded like a fan could have written it. Like, all this whole kooky baddie Tilly shtick. That's what she referred to it. That was so crazy to me. It seems like the writers are kind of, having some fun with us and our fan theories. And we have heard that they do check in with the fans and they're paying attention to our theories. Sometimes they listen to live streams of YouTubers and everything. So yeah, Tilly's probably just a quirky grandma figure, but it's fun. It's fun to go down the rabbit hole that maybe she's sus. It's still fun for me.
If any writers listening, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all future From breakdowns with Julie as a guest if she'd like in future, and as well as any horror breakdowns. So just did a Terrifier 2-hour stream. Was a great panel after seeing it last night. So hit that subscribe button. I have great ideas for you. And also, if you work on sets, please learn how to light your nights. I like this. Jana brought up this. Fatima in Arabic means one who leans an infant. So, Jana, just to give you some context, Fatima was told in her, like, in the real world, she would never get pregnant, and she's pregnant here in From, but now in the last 2 episodes, she has been eating the rotten vegetables that have come from the poisoned soil, and that's the only thing she craves and only thing she can eat. Normal food or anything else makes her very sick. She throws up all the times, and she just finds herself gorging on rotten vegetables. So interesting that it means one that weans infant, because I think she's gonna give birth to a night creature. Whether you think she's the kimono lady or not, I think she's gonna give birth to maybe not the night creatures we see, but some sort of entity, or whatever overpowering entity that's been watching them. This is how they come into the world.
Yeah, I think it's some kind of entity.
I like that.
I like that a lot too.
When did Rosemary's Baby show up? Jana.
I love that name, Jana Banana.
Oh, Jana Banana is fantastic. She is one of the, when I was talking to you earlier, she's one of the good ones. Nice. All right, we're going to shift a little bit into Tabitha's story since it's halfway through the episode. So Tabitha has not been sleeping. She's trying to decipher what's going on with the paintings below and stuff. Also finds out that they have a bottled tree similar to what is the traveling tree and From. A lot of kooky things going on. And I actually feel for Henry here, because Henry went from this crazy lady has my son and then has my son's lunchbox to like telling him a story of like, I come from this imaginary town with monsters and your son is there, to like having this woman like go a little bit nuts over things, and he's accepting it pretty well. Like he's taking it in pretty well for somebody who hasn't seen his son in like over 30 years, 40 years at this point.
Yep. I feel for Henry. I really do. I know a lot of us were kind of thinking, look, since Victor never mentioned his father and he shuts down every time someone asks how he ended up in Fromville, like that seems like a trauma response. And so people were guessing maybe he was abusive and his mom took him and his sister and ran. But after hearing from him, his story and the level of emotion that he's putting out, anything could be possible, but I believe his emotion is authentic and I feel for this character. I really do. Like, and just imagine his whole family went missing and he was the prime suspect. He mentioned that they suspected him, but that wasn't even the worst part. It was just losing his family all that time. And, you know, so you feel for this guy, and he still didn't bring up Eloise, but I mean, he did say that he just assumed his whole family had passed away. So I find it odd that he didn't mention Eloise, but like,
well, he was close.
Yeah. I think she started to mention what happened to Miranda, and he said, you don't have to say it. I just assumed she died a long time ago, and I thought they all did. So he probably thinks the same about Eloise. But yeah, I digress. But yeah.
Do you think, I know I read somewhere and I was watching some videos too, do you think Tabitha could be a reincarnation of his wife?
I think so. I think it's possible. I did. Yeah. Like I put out a video on Tabitha this week in this episode, and some ideas about what could be going on. And at the end, I did discuss the possibility, and I know other people have thought of this too. I'm not the only one. A couple other YouTubers I saw had this idea independently. Like we all just thought about this, and it's possible. I mean, it could explain why Tabitha created a bracelet that's identical to Miranda's.
That's what I was thinking.
So it is Norse mythology, and they're all just Viking gods on Respawn.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's all I'm doing today. It's just wild theories.
Right. Wild theories are fun. I like it. Yeah, I think it's possible. Now, I had some mixed reactions when I mentioned it in my video on Tabitha. I said, you know, this is possible. I'm not married to the theory, but I'm considering it. And 2 people said that it was boring. I personally don't think that it's boring. I think it would be fascinating. But I had other people who like it. So who knows? maybe that's the case. Maybe all these chosen ones are like the same spirit, like this whole line of them being reincarnated again and again. It's interesting to think about, I think.
Do you think it has something to do with related to the spirits that everyone has seen, such as like Jade seeing the guy with the railroad nail through the eye, and then we had the Confederate soldier at points? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be reborn as the same sex, but it's just the same power in a sense, or energy. Isn't the same person reborn each time?
Yes, absolutely. Because here's a clue to this too. If you look at the different people in those visions over the course of all of the visions that he's had. So you've got the different time periods. So going back, like the oldest one seems to be the Puritan guy. That's going back the furthest. This guy that's got the spike through his eye in this episode. And so there's him. Then there's the Confederate. I don't know if he's Confederate, but the Civil War soldier. And then you have a man trapped under a boulder who could maybe be early 1900s, perhaps. And then there's Christopher.
Forgot about him.
God, that was such a good jump scare.
Right? Oh my God. Oh my God. That scared the hell out of me. And and then there's Christopher. And now all of these people look like they're from different eras. So maybe it's the same soul being reincarnated again and again. It could be. Could be.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about the whole reincarnation until I saw somebody. I don't know whose video. I'm sure it was one of the videos of it, but or it might have been your video. I've watched so much deep dive on the show since season 1, because I'm so in. Oh, please don't let me listen, writers. Again, if you're watching, please don't let me down, please. I never watched Lost. I've never seen Lost whatsoever. I know a lot of people were disappointed with the ending of Lost, and I know
we don't want to see it now.
Yeah. I know one of the complaints of Lost was that it was dragged out too long as well.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I
like that.
There's so many different concepts that this could be, right? We could have Norse mythology, we could have Native American folklore, we could have reincarnate, and that reincarnation happens in both and stuff. So do you think Vikings might become part of the show since they were the first year? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe.
I just found out how to do that on my phone. Ha.
But I am intrigued by Tabitha's story, but I will say, and I'll save it till we get to that point, I did not like the interaction they had in the car that led them to circle back. But
don't get me started. It's like, hey, look, we're finally going to give you answers. Nope, railroaded. You motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or say T-boned.
Like, I wouldn't call this was supposed to be in the episode description. It said Tabitha makes a mind-bending discovery. I wouldn't call it a discovery. It's more questions. It's a mind-bending event that we're trying to wrap our heads around. It's a conundrum, and it doesn't answer anything. It's just more questions. It's frustrating. I feel you on that.
I do think it was at that point though, a perfectly reasonable response. Like, oh shit, I'm still there, aren't I? This isn't the real world. like no answers. I want answers.
Right. It felt like a Twilight Zone moment. I mean, I appreciated that because I love the Twilight Zone, but I was frustrated at the same time. I thought we would get some more answers at this point. It's frustrating.
It was fun frustration. It was funstration.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Everyone's there. Major spoilers out. I'm talking about major spoilers for people who want to avoid it. Check before you watch it. It's ruined. Oh, are there additional spoilers? I didn't even know if there's additional spoilers.
They've been running rampant for a while. I've managed to avoid them so far, and I watch my chat. I watch my comment section so people don't have to worry. I'm sure you watch yours. Like, if anyone posts any spoilers for future episodes, I will delete it. I haven't had to delete anything yet, but Jeremy Ice and Fire, he saw a really big one that he had to delete. Man. You look around. It's all on Reddit. It's on Facebook. Yeah. Why do people?
I'm too old for Reddit. I don't do Reddit. I don't barely do Discord. Like, I check Discord maybe once a week at most. I do watch the chats. I don't think most of the people who watch this are either intrigued by it or haven't seen it but just want to listen to it, or they have. Like, there's a couple people in there, but I have not seen any major spoilers. Mostly because, like, with your videos, I catch the replay and I'm listening. I'm not watching, so I don't watch the chat when people are coming in or like deep dives and stuff. But yeah, that's sad. I really wish I like water cooler concepts for TV shows. By that mean I like the idea of weekly episode releases where you can discuss it the next day with people, theorize like we're doing until the next week. I don't like the binge model where they just like drop 8 or 10 episodes on your lap to watch and then you got to wait 2 years between seasons. But I hate when people drop spoilers for the next one. I don't even watch the trailer for the next episode because I just want to be immersed in the world about it. So yeah, that sucks. That sucks. People are trying to ruin it for other people.
Yeah, it's like people just want attention, even if it's negative attention. It's childish, really. Like, why are you going to spoil it for other people that don't want? Most of us don't want spoilers. MGM Plus already spoiled too much about the show as it is. They spoiled their own show with the trailer, and then they released some kind of really crazy spoilery featurette on Amazon that spoiled a ton of stuff. And I don't know why they're doing this. You know, they dump a bunch of photos before the episode comes out. They've got the trailers for the episodes. They had the episode descriptions that reveal too much. You find out who's going to make it, who's not later in the season. They're still in the episode descriptions. So I wish they wouldn't do that. Personally, I like to be surprised.
Don't spoil things. Also, Snape killed Dumbledore.
I think especially with this season, because it's so ramped up, is they want it in everybody's because the last 2 seasons, people knew about it, but they didn't really talk about it. I think season 3 right now has introduced a lot of people to this series because season 1 was on FX streaming. Nobody knew what FX streaming was. Like, you barely, unless you had Amazon Prime and it popped up. Then it got moved to MGM. And then this season, I think they're aiming to be renewed, at least for a 4th season. I hope so. And then potentially a 5th. That could be why they're putting so much work into the marketing promo, because I don't feel like there was a lot of marketing promotion for season 2 as much as it has been for season 3.
I would agree with that. Well,
Yeah.
in fact, let's take that up a notch. Pretty please with Victor's canned peaches on top. Wait, was it peaches
Speaking
or
of
pears?
Victor.
Now I can't remember.
Good segue, Chris. Speaking of Victor,
I got you.
what do we think is in the suitcase that he had to create a treasure map to find that he buried? What do you think is buried in there?
So I was excited about this idea because I've been wondering, what could this possibly be other than more drawings? The drawings are interesting, but we've got enough of that. We need something creative. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's Polaroids, like we had a Polaroid of Christopher in season 2. But I was watching one of Jeremy Ice and Fire's live streams, and he brought up something that I think makes perfect sense, that it's going to be an old time film projector in that suitcase. Because later, like we've seen from one of the Amazon featurettes they put out, that Victor and Sarah are building a blanket fort, and there appears to be a fire that they're trying to put out. So sometimes those old projectors have caught fire. So that's what I'm thinking. I agree with Jeremy on that. I think it's going to be a projector. It's going to be an old film reel. And hopefully we'll at least see something before the thing catches on fire. I'm excited for that.
I'll tell you exactly what's in that suitcase. Something that looks like it's going to give us a lot of answers, and yet again, just more questions.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, I know it's the show. I enjoy it. Like, that's the thing. I get it, but it's definitely what it's going to be.
Yeah, we'll probably see like 5 seconds of a film reel, and then the thing will burst into flames. We'll be left with more questions.
It's going to be like Boyd in 1509.
I, for the longest, thought it was going to be the dummy, but I think because we've seen the dummy already in the caves, and I don't think the dummy is related to Victor in that way. I don't think it's going to be more drawings. If it's more drawings, come on, man. Like, I don't think he would have buried more drawings because he holds on to them so much.
Right.
Yeah, but I like the idea of like an old school like projector where we can maybe check out something.
Well,
That would
it
be
could
cool.
also be like on a more serious, less funny side. We're all thinking in terms of like what of Victor's would he put in there, keeping in mind that he's survived a cycle. It doesn't have to be his, so it can just be something, of monumental importance that he just thought was dangerous. So he's hidden it away, and now is the proper time to bring it out.
Yeah, maybe. I'm interested to see.
Jackson, I appreciate you not dropping a spoiler in the chat since you know what it is. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Is that the Chicago flag? That is the Chicago flag. My
Yeah,
homie, I'm
skyline.
from Chicago. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Home movies from press Christmas where Granny did want to eat our organs. Shanna. Drawing of his dad, maybe.
And Granny was Tilly.
Oh yeah, that'd be. It is.
It's gonna be Tilly on the film.
Oh, that would be trippy.
The more reasons I think people are being chosen to be here, especially is because of Chrissy's girlfriend showing up last season, because that was wild to have somebody you knew show up. I'm like, there is more things being played here. Like there's something going on. So these individuals are being selected to be here, not just, oh, we just, had to take a sidetrack, like a detour, and then we ended up here.
Yes. That was clear evidence. That was our first real hard evidence that this can't just be random for everybody, because what would be the odds of all the people in the country that could have been brought here? That it's her fiance. People are handpicked for sure.
Now,
yeah, but who all was really on that bus? I mean, that really seems of consequence. I mean, I think she's. I don't think she would feel like one of the just kind of poking back in that general direction, but like a tarot aspect, where I think maybe the black gentleman who's not sleeping,
Elgin,
where I think Elgin, who has like connection, and then Tilly, who we think could be an outside operator. I mean, I would find it hard to believe that she might be somehow like a part of the greater scheme. I think she was just a kind of like a lucky FU in the process.
Oh yeah, I think it was done to mess with Kenny and Christy. I don't think she herself is going to have an important role to play, like a chosen one. Yeah.
Well, you knew it was bad when she got that haircut.
Yeah.
Everybody, writers, listen, writers. That
Holy
haircut,
cow.
man, guy. that poor woman looks way better in the season 1 haircut before prior. So just FYI.
Do almost anything else, really.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this makes season 2 look great. It got so much worse this season. What the hell? I feel bad. Why are they doing this to her? Her and Jade, their hair has gotten progressively worse and crazy. Jeez.
If that
With
dummy
Jade,
is in
give me
that
more flop.
suitcase, I think we're all gonna eat our hands. That dummy's in her suitcase. Chloe told me to stop bullying her about her hair. Well, her hair's pretty awful. Anyway, moving on.
The dummy is Victor's other personality, and that's how he can express the other ideas and information that he has. It's through the dummy. I'm just making more wild shit up. I don't believe that at all. I'm just throwing facts together.
Let's head back into town. So we were Tabitha and Henry for a little bit. We're gonna head back into town with Boyd and his. I'm actually for this idea. I think this is a cool thing. Capturing a live nightmare creature. Season 2, they had a dead one, where they found out that maybe at some point it was human. But I am all for this on the offense instead of being defensive. Find out what these things are. Find out what they want. They obviously can talk. What do we feel about Boyd's plan here?
I think it's not a bad idea to do it, but he's going to have to be really careful with how he executes it and just not be too reckless, really put enough thought into it. It would be nice to know what would happen to a live one when the sun comes up. That's what I want to see, because we don't know. We saw Smiley had no effect, but he was already dead. The sun came up, so yeah, he's just gonna have to be careful how he does it, I think. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it myself too.
I really think it. I think this is a essential move on their part to find out more answers about these things. I think if they do not go forward in capturing one of these things or somehow get their hands on one of these things, they're still just going to be constantly playing on the offense with it.
It's going to be the cowboy.
Oh,
you
yeah,
think
totally.
I think so.
Yep.
He's got the riz.
I think it's going to be in the ambulance. I think they're going to be able to capture one in the ambulance. But Zax, hello, welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I think that it's about time they do something like this, but I also think that when Father Kotri tells you not to do something at this point, you should probably do it.
Yeah, I don't trust him.
Agreed.
Ghost Kotri is sus, so that's a great point.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Zach had to wait for the sun to go down because he too is a nightmare creature.
Absolutely true. That's why I like to live in the north.
Where there's no sun whatsoever.
Never. No sun at all.
Never.
No. That's how I got tanned.
Daywalker.
Question for the panel. What do you think the outcome would be if he does end up capturing one of these this season? I think this is going to lead to it, but what do you think would be the outcome for it?
I think the plan is going to go sideways because he's probably not going to think it through enough. And, it's a good idea in theory to learn more, but I think that he's not going to execute the plan well. He's still reeling from what happened to Tian Chen. So he's acting more out of emotion than logic. So I don't have a good feeling about the plan, how it's going to happen, how it's going to go down.
For me, I think that his strategy to trap one is kind of not what I expected, to put a talisman on the outside of a house to keep them in the house. I don't know why he thinks that would work. I'm not saying it wouldn't work. We know it keeps them out, but have we ever seen it keep them in?
We don't know. That's the thing. This is
right.
Theory.
Don't they have access to tunnels underneath if they wanted to go under the house?
I believe they do.
They do.
We don't know where the tunnels are exactly, but they were, before the houses caved in, they were.
Yeah, they can go back in through the cave. And honestly, I liked the plan better that Kenny wanted to do. I liked the idea of sneaking down there while the monsters are sleeping and like lighting the place on fire. Let's see what fire would do to these things. I wanted to see that myself.
Yeah, I just think there's other ways because we haven't seen what they actually can do yet. We know they're extra strong, and they seem to be able to fly. Possibly
they're slashy.
They're very slashy. But could you? Is it possible just to restrain one? Do you have to have it locked in a house with a talisman? Can you wrap it up with chains or something like that? Can you dig a big hole that's not connected to a cavern and give it a shove? They're not. I don't know. It's just strange to trap it in a house. I think that's going to lead to something.
Ooh, or instead of complaining that when you shoot it, nothing happens, have you ever tried shooting him in the head instead of the chest?
I think they did at some point, didn't they?
I don't remember that.
They
may have, and I'm just forgetting.
Well, because the one that they ended up killing died because of the poisonous blood from Boyd from season 2, right?
Yes.
Yes. So and we find that bullets really don't harm them any bile bullets, but I feel like normal bullets, they would be able to recover from being shot in the head.
Probably. Yeah. We've never been able to see exactly where the shots were hitting at them. They may have just been getting them in the chest, but I don't know. I don't know if bullets would do anything. I think fire would be the best bet. And we don't know how, what triggers the super strength. It seems like they have to start transforming before they become super strong. In the barn, several of the creatures, they were having trouble restraining Boyd. A bunch of them. He was fighting them off. And then one of them started to transform. And then they were able to kind of restrain him. They are super strong.
Thank you, Jackson. Thank you so much. man. Have a great night. I have an idea. If I was in Boyd's position, which I think is where he was going originally, I would try to capture one of them in the bus, and then pull all the curtains around the bus out of there first off, so that when it comes daylight, see what happens, because that's glass almost all the way entirely around.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like wherever they do it, I think it needs to be exposed to sunlight. That would be the best bet, to just see what happens when the sun comes up and it's alive. Yeah,
because we don't really know what happens to them with sun. We just know that they hibernate at night, come out, hibernate during the day, come out at night. So we don't actually know if sunlight actually affects them in any way.
Right.
Like a vampire.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know, because Smiley was dead. So it could just be that it affects them when they're alive only. And yeah, I would love to see what would happen. This has been one of the burning questions we've all had. Why do they only come out at night? There's still so little we still know, that we know about them.
I think part of that, though, is because we have not seen anyone try anything. And I'm shocked that nobody has, or that someone previously hasn't tried something that's then passed down to people who are still alive. It seems like they're just in that same state all the time of running and hiding until they got the talismans, which was a gift, really. So like we haven't seen them try stuff except building a giant radio.
Well, I think we were close earlier when you said sorry, it wasn't you, but it was Boyd is reacting out of anger instead out of a place of logic.
Right.
And I think that was half correct. I think he's definitely reacting out of a place of anger. I think that's a better idea, because I think consistently everyone is doing everything out of a fear reaction. So I think this is a better reaction, at least with how long they've gone with the fear reaction.
True.
True.
I have a question. And I can't remember. Have they ever tried to take the symbol on the talisman and like draw it on the windows or draw it on something else to see if it would affect the monsters?
Like the windows to the walls?
Well, because Mitra said, she said right here, the monsters destroyed the box. When Frank was in it, they probably would smash the windows of the bus. But I wonder if they would draw the symbol on all the windows. Like, is it the talisman itself, like the physical rock of it, or is it the symbol that gives it the power?
You'd think somebody would have tried that by now. It would have been tough. I mean, it would be tough. Like, how do you experiment with that? You have to just hope that nothing happens. But I don't know. Yeah, I know that they only have 12 total talismans, and that's not many for all the people that live here. So it would be nice if they could draw it on something or make more. But testing it out is what would be the riskiest thing. Yeah.
You could test it out by having a house that looks like it's occupied, and then just drawing it on the windows and the door and seeing if they would go in.
That could work.
For it too.
That could work.
Or have somebody in there as bait and then know that they have an escape route out the back in some way. Like, to me, it would be worth testing just to see if it's the actual symbol or the physical like rock thing that it's on that's giving this ability for them not to cross thresholds. And then as soon as a door is open, even with the talisman on, they're able to come through. So it's really weird rules, because when in the first episode, when Julie and Ethan opened the door to one of them, there's a talisman on the door. So once you break that barrier, once it's sealed, they can then cross it, even if there is a talisman on it.
Yes. Okay. So it came back up. I wanted to remark on this because I saw that too, which very importantly means that the nightmare creatures cannot, in fact, get in his pants.
Yeah.
No, sorry. That was all I had. I'll see myself out.
Julie might know this, but how many monsters have we seen? Is it 12?
I'm not sure the total, but somebody in a Discord group that I'm in actually made a spreadsheet of all the monsters and all the number of kills that each of them has, which I thought was funny.
Oh, that's cool.
I think Granny Monster has the most, actually. Yeah, I wish I could remember the number, but yeah, someone. This is how detail oriented this fandom is. Like they dissect everything. It's cool. I love it.
Only one of them's got
Very
a cow
cool.
kill.
Hmm?
I said only one
Cow
of them
kill.
has a cow kill.
Oh, the cow kill. Yeah,
I'm still haunted by that. That was so aggressive.
it was gross. I didn't
It was
like-
amazing and aggressive.
We could
Yeah.
never own a farm, apparently.
Never.
Me neither.
So there's 12. Yeah. Do you think they're
13 without-
connected to the monster numbers?
Could be, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And do they need to replace one since Smiley died? Is that
Oh.
what Fatima's giving birth
Yeah,
to?
they're
The
making one.
replacement?
Oh.
I've heard someone mention that idea too. Like that is such an interesting concept. Like we've a lot of people think that when somebody dies in Fromville, someone tends to replace them. Like it always seems to balance out. So maybe it's the same with the monster. This could be like the Smiley replacement.
And if Fatima gives birth to one of them, it proves that they're almost half human in a sense.
Right? Oh,
Well, it also
that would-
shows that the monsters kind of come from a place of unbirth, since she's not supposed to be able to get pregnant. It's like
Mm.
that's why she's there. Like she is her I don't know if there's a better word for it, but like her barrenness is a pro to them. It is a way they can utilize her to create more.
Mhm.
Say
Oh,
that like I did some thinking about that actually with her being pregnant and Tilly's involvement now because of her visit and her surprise, and at least her visible surprise, that she said she could never have children. And it made me think that if Tilly is an agent, that they would have then made Fatima pregnant, not knowing that she couldn't actually have kids and that she would notice there's something wrong with that. And because she's the only person having sex actively that I know of on the show with Ella, so they would say, well, these guys are married. We'll give them a kid. She won't know it's an evil kid until it's too late. And but them maybe not knowing that she can't have kids, that she was barren, and so this is something strange for her.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know like we don't see much of it, but there is a lot of kind of free love going around at Colony House. We only saw it once. There was a couple on the couch, right in
Oh,
front
that's
of
right. Yeah.
in full view of everybody in like episode 2, season 1. But it's just interesting. Like all these people are doing this without protection, without birth control, and the one woman who says she can't, it's impossible. She's the one who gets pregnant. So
Right.
that's
That's a
fascinating.
good point.
There's
Yeah.
also a line in this scene where Donna's like, you're going to be a father now. You got to think of outside of yourself. And I was like, ooh, that's an obvious telltale that shit's going to go sideways real fast soon with Ellis.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of immature, to be honest. That's a little foreshadowing. Something's not going to go well. I agree.
And then we are with Fatima again, gouging herself on rotten food again, which, I mean, I get it. She's pregnant. It's the only thing she's craving, the only thing she can keep down. Who's to say, it's poisonous, I guess. I don't know.
Rotten fruit for the rotten seed.
Yes, he's carrying the
say
bad.
It does look appealing. I'm not gonna lie.
What?
I'm curious to know what it is. Like, what is it
Are
like?
you too pregnant
like
with a nightmare creature?
Yeah.
What did I do?
I just wanted to like. I'm curious to know what it's made of. Is it like a gummy that they like powdered up with like edible food coloring and stuff, or I'd be curious to know what they actually used on set for this.
Yeah, I don't even know what these things are supposed to be. They're nasty looking, but yeah, apparently it tastes amazing to her. She can't stop herself, and
Straight fondant.
yeah,
And
I
then
will say no one in the house is starving though. That's for sure. If you look at them, no one in there is hungry at all. They shouldn't be.
doesn't seem that way.
No.
Uh,
yeah, the whole idea of the food being an issue for like one episode, and then all of a sudden they find food and stuff. Do you think Miss Lou was the sacrifice to find that food? Like that it's in a way like, okay, Miss Lou was sacrificed to the dark side, so thus, okay, we'll let them find this scavenge of food, because how could you not explore the perimeters of this area and not find this small place with the cabins and the food after being here? Some of them have been over a year here.
Right. The timing is extremely suspect. I definitely am of the mind that it was like a sacrifice to Frumville, even though they didn't deliberately do this to her. She, Boyd made a choice. He went out there. He didn't get her to safety. They continue to try to move that slow moving cow. And it was in the heat of the moment. I don't blame him or anything. And she wanted to help. She chose to. So it does seem like a kind of a sacrifice, because the timing is so convenient. The next morning, Jim and Kenny find the cabbage and whatnot. And yeah, it's awfully convenient for that to happen. And Jim specifically says, this is enough to feed the whole town. Tian Chen was responsible for feeding the town before. So yeah, I think so. I think it's a sacrifice type of thing.
That could be it. One of the issues I have with this show is that everything's happening so close together. Like, I wouldn't mind if they spread things out timeline wise for the show, at least over, a week, a month or something. So you could see, like, it could actually add some tension to it, I would think, on our end, where, like, we don't know, you could see them actually starving, or you could, it would make more sense to hide stuff, because it's like, well, nothing's happened for a month, so I don't want to start something, things like that. You could play out, but this is like every day there's a crisis, and then it's solved that same day or the next day.
I couldn't agree more. It's the same issue that I had with the whole we can't go to sleep, or we're going to die in season 2. That was rushed. If they had just drawn that out longer, it would have been so tense. Watching everyone struggling to stay awake, and they could have had like a bunch of red shirts fall asleep and get ripped open by cicadas. And now with the food thing, I could not believe that was resolved within one episode. I thought they were going to drag it out. I agree with you.
I mean, running out of food for a day is not that big of a deal.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't know it was going to only be a day. I mean, we had, they just had the longshoremen trying to strike over on the East Coast down here in the South of Zax. And, the people were already going back to buying up all the toilet paper. I'm like, they were threatening to strike. They didn't even do it yet. And people were already like getting in giant lines in Costco and buying up, hordes of everything. It only takes a little bit. It's that great. How's that great line from Men in Black go? It's like a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky creatures, or something like that.
Yeah, I do get that, but I could see that if you're in that situation. But as an outsider looking in, like I am for that, and like we are for this, I don't feel tension for you guys that you may run out of toilet paper at all. It doesn't bother me, period. I don't feel that tension, even though people there might, because they're wacko. But I don't.
And most of the toilet paper is made in the United States, by the way, for the United States. So
it's like 90%.
Yeah, just FYI.
Yeah.
Your poo paper is safe.
You're gonna be fine. And for this, like they didn't starve long enough for me to feel that. And so, and like the sleep would have been perfect, because that didn't have to be a month. A few days of that, a week of that, and it's hell on earth already. So that would have really pulled me in and felt that tension.
How long can you go?
Edge me a
without
little.
sleeping?
Edge me somewhat. Yes.
You can go, the longest documented time a person's gone without sleeping is 264 hours, or just a little over 11 days.
Wow. That's crazy.
I mean, you shouldn't probably go, but after 3 days, a person might begin to slur their speech and walk unsteadily. That would, think of it. If they all had to stay awake for that long, and then they have to deal with nightmare creatures at night.
Mm-hmm.
After not sleeping for 3 days.
I think it was a missed opportunity to really milk that drama and tension.
Yes. There was a Russian experiment done were, I think it was 7 people they kept in a room where they're prisoners, of course, who were forced to stay awake because they pumped in some kind of gas to keep them awake, and they eventually ate themselves.
Ooh.
And then when they
Sure.
turned the gas off, the surviving ones begged to have it turned back on.
Weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody says Kimberly Clark Company is already behind on orders of speckles for Scott and Cor. Listen, just get a bidet, folks.
Right.
Be
Expect holes for
civilized
your holes.
individuals. Yeah, get a spray for your hole. Do we think these statues are totems in some way, or similar to the ones that protect the town?
I think so.
Because the reason I say this is last episode, or the episode before, when Jim and Kenny were here, they heard just a little bit of ruffling, which could have been anything. I mean, remember, we have we have wild dogs in here. We have a ton of animals that could be around. Because normally when nightmare creatures know that somebody's in there, they mess with you for a little bit to see if they could get you to make a mistake and coax you out. So could these things be similar to the totems where they're going to stop these nightmare creatures coming on this land? Hello, from Lee Theory. I see you there. Hello.
Yeah, from Lee Theory. He's got a new channel. Should be really cool. Yeah, I think those totems are a form of protection too, and there are 4 of them. Like I was talking about in my video, some friends of mine looked at there are 4 of them in a diamond shape. And if you look at it, they look just like the talisman is designed. Like there's a little diamond in the middle. There's like a head on top, a head on the bottom, and like crisscrosses where the legs are kind of like folded legs. So yeah, I think that's a hint that what we kind of have been guessing is true. Those totems were warding off some kind of evil, and Jade knocked one of them over, so it's kind of concerning.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I assumed they were protecting that village or whatever this used to be in the same way the talismans protect the townspeople now. That's kind of what I thought, but I have no idea. Then I thought maybe they were representations of the people who had lived there, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have any inside scoop on that stuff.
From Lee Theory, go ahead and drop your link to your channel in the chat for everybody to subscribe to. We love having other individuals in Fromley around, so go ahead and do that. All right. Do we think these talisman things are going to... I agree with you, Julie. I think with Jade messing with one this episode, I mean, granted, to save Chrissy's life, right? Is going to mess up when they are back here for some reason, or when they have to spend the night here.
Yeah. So makes you wonder, like, what could be out there? Is it another threat other than the monsters? Because we've been told that there are, like Sarah said, like she had a voice in her head tell her in season 1 that voice that was a female saying, tell Mr. Fish and Loaves I was wrong. There are things out here that are worse than the monsters. So I wonder if it could be something other than monsters. Like, I'm curious to see.
Big spiders, maybe, finally. I was so, maybe it was a budget reason, or maybe they're just saving them for some reason, but that was one of the biggest letdowns from season 2 is like, or in season 1, talking about these big spider webs, and you're not going to give me actual spiders, like mutant creature things. Come on now.
No, I was expecting that too. I was kind of disappointed. So
what I am echoing on somebody.
Oh,
we good?
Okay.
Okay.
I think it stopped.
I think you're good.
Okay, good. So what do we think? All right, let me move forward. Sorry, my brain is a little fried. Jim, here we go. We're going to go back to town. Jim, Father of the Year. Father of the Year award here. Where I'll give it to Ethan. I get it. Ethan's a messed up kid, and I mean, who wouldn't be messed up when you find out your parents were going to get divorced? You lost your youngest sibling. You guys are like now stuck in this town with nightmare creatures. I mean, I think this kid is doing pretty good for the situation he's in. And so he's trying to kind of talk, and he's a kid, so he's trying to talk his way through to, potentially that his mother is dead, right? trying to
Right.
talk it through. And Jim, Father of the Year award,
man.
just like blows up on him, which I think leads to the fact that I think we're going to get not a villain arc. I don't think Jim is going to be a so-called like true villain in this series, but I think we're going to get a similar to like what happened with Sarah in season 1. We're going to get a Jim that's just going to make really bad mistakes and is going to have to reap the consequences of them when he gets to. And I think it's partially going to be something to deal with his kids.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've had Julie calling him out, like basically telling him, get your shit together, and he didn't even push back on that. He knows that he's like not the Father of the Year at this point, and I think it's gonna continue through the season. Absolutely.
Do you guys think that the Sarah's order to kill Ethan will come back again? Like he's getting a little bit more morbid, it seems like, with every episode, and like the actor aside, the character I think is getting darker and darker. Do you think that's going to come back
for Ethan?
Yeah,
I actually, in the last 3 episodes, and again we still got more episodes to go, I don't think the writers know what to do with Ethan at this point. I think he was very prominent in season 2 and 1 with Sarah and everything. I really don't think he's being utilized very much, especially I think the main focus in this season, obviously Boyd I think is the anchor throughout the whole series.
Oh yeah.
But I think we're going to be focusing mostly on Tabitha and Jade. I think Tabitha and Jade's arcs are going to evolve further here, and Fatima,
Boyd
of course.
from...
But yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I think they don't know what to do with Ethan too. I agree. He's growing fast. It's unfortunate when a show characterizes a kid as really important to the plot. In season 1, Victor told him, because he saw the boy in white, Ethan did. Victor said, the boy in white, he chose you like he chose me once. Well, chose him for what? It looks like Ethan hasn't seen the boy in white in season 2 and so far not in season 3. So it's like they came up with a new plan because he's growing too fast. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Ethan's going to be a serial killer. Mark my words. Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Like I do see those concerns, and I wonder if they're going to go anywhere with that, with why it was so important that he be killed. And like, is that going to just be a buried idea? Will that ever, be resolved for us at all? Like, and we don't know who the entity is, but I have my own theories now that I'm kind of borrowing some stuff from Julie because she's smarter than me. But but I think
I'm sure that's not true.
I think it's true. But Julie, I think that Victor is definitely, I think he's involved in this more than we've really seen. And whether or not he's involved consciously or not, I don't know. But everything kind of really, really, really centers on him. And the fact that he's pushed Ethan off to the side now, I don't know if that means anything.
Well, Ethan's the only child in the town, right?
Yeah.
And Victor was the only child to survive his era, and he is like you said earlier, probably not something the entity expected to be a chess piece in this. So maybe they're just trying to get rid of Ethan so it's not a repeat cycle of having someone else survive it. Possibly.
Well,
also, the death of a child will break anyone. Like the whole town probably would be broken if this kid probably was killed by one of their own.
Right. True. Good point.
I feel like Victor is a glitch in the Matrix, right? I think we can all he gives off that kind of general character vibe. And what if Ethan is just Victor's role from the previous cycle? Like we're talking about, there being cycles, there being roles. I mean, Victor was the child in the last cycle. Yeah,
that's what I think. I think that the boy in white supposedly choosing Ethan by appearing to him means that he's taking on Victor's role.
Point. Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to get that out because I was having mic and crashing issues, but I'm back.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think he is filling Victor's role, but it's almost like the writers are deviating from that now, maybe because he's growing too fast. Like we're not seeing Ethan drawing a bunch of pictures like young Victor did.
No.
So yeah, I don't know how they're going to handle this, and I don't think they'll kill him off. What I expect, if they have to, I predict they would just send him to a faraway tree somewhere, and like he'll come back older. Or they'll explain it away somehow. That's what I think.
And really, like Victor has now pushed Ethan to the aside, and he's now with Sarah. Like, is that
Mm.
anything to that? And Victor, keep in mind, like all we know about what happened with the last group comes from Victor. And is he reliable? Do we believe him with what happened last time with the last group? I mean, I have up until now, but should I be?
And why isn't his
Memory's
sister?
broken.
Why
Yeah.
isn't his sister mentioned more?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Julie, you said that earlier when I was listening about how Henry did not ask about her at all.
No, he didn't. He didn't mention her by name. He mentioned that this is where my children slept, my little boy and my little girl, but he never said Eloise. He never asked.
Yeah.
Like, he knows Victor's alive. He never asked, like, is Eloise alive too? Very odd, I thought.
Did
And-
Well,
Eloise
she
make it
did
back?
say, "I know your son." She didn't say, "I know your daughter."
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, context clues, things he already figured. I don't know. I don't know if I'd follow that.
I know
Yeah.
Victor found the body of his mother, but did they ever find his sister?
He never said. He never said anything about what happened to her. And that's why so many fans in season 2 were expecting that she was going to meet Eloise on the outside. Because why didn't he ever mention what happened to her? He said that he found his mom's body. Yeah. So it's kind of a letdown for a lot of us who wanted to meet Eloise, and it's not looking like that's going to happen at this point. Who knows? Maybe she didn't make it out. I think it would be neat if she turns out to be a loner living out in like that village or something, and we find her as an adult. But yeah,
She's in
I
the
don't-
suitcase.
She's in the suit.
I did joke that in the chat earlier, but
Oh, I didn't see that.
I hope
Then,
not.
well met, good sir.
I hope not.
I got it
isn't-
from a hell. Then I got it from a hell of a guy.
That is
Um,
an interesting theory, Julie. I'm curious, panel. Do you think there is, because you know how there's the settlement that they just stumbled across? Could there be another like group of individuals that they just haven't come across? Because we know that the trees move, this place changes, so there could be a loner out there, kind of living on it on their own.
Absolutely. I think that's possible. And, if they do that, it would kind of be borrowing from Lost, because there was a loner there too, who lived there by herself for many years. So yeah, I think that could be the source of the footsteps that they heard outside the cabin that night. I think it was episode 1. It said footsteps departing in the captions. So somebody was out there. It's interesting to think about.
And they could think that the individuals there are night creatures, right? Because if you are already experiencing humans as night creatures and Kenny and Jim show up one night, like you're gonna automatically assume these things are sus, right? These are night creatures as well, because they're night creatures look human. I didn't even think of that could actually be an individual living in that settlement. Maybe they'll find them when they spend the night.
That would be so
Well,
interesting. Yeah.
I was wondering if where the forest leads to is based on who died last. Almost like they're the sacrifice. Think of it like if this is all the craziness that happens in From, right? Think of it kind of like different floors on an elevator. Like it just takes you to a different area, because like you were saying earlier, Tian Chen's like the provider.
Mhm.
She died, and then they found the food. So the question is, you think about like the lighthouse. Who was the major? I can't think of it personally off the top of my head, but like who was the major character death just before her? Things like that.
Mhm.
Now we're back to Tabitha, who I really think we're going to get a big arc with her, obviously, but she is not my favorite character. I'm not Team Tabitha on this one.
Same.
Oh, what did I do to the screen? I don't know what I did. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. I know we never really get to it in this episode because, spoilers, she ends up back and from at the end of this episode, right?
Mhm.
Do you think the tree that she was trying to get to would have traveled, like would have made her go to From? Like that would be the path between the two worlds?
Possibly. It's I mean, it's fascinating. I really wish they had been able to get to it. That frustrated me. And he said it, you could say this is kind of where it all started. And maybe it is a faraway tree, but only certain chosen ones could make it through. Because I mean, if it's accessible to anybody, then any kid playing around could jump in and show up in Fromville. So I tend to think maybe it is a faraway tree, and that could be how Miranda ended up there, maybe. Just because she was a chosen one and bring the kids. I don't know. But it's cool. It's a cool idea to think about.
Well, because she did a lot of drugs right before, and that's they dropped acid right in front of the tree, and that's how this all started in front of the other tree.
Yes. Oh,
Then
yes.
Henry-
Oh, and I just remembered, no, that she didn't get there that way. She had it like a station wagon or something that was in the town. So yeah, never mind about that part. But like, yes, they did. When they dropped acid for the last time together, it was at that tree. So yeah, that's interesting. He said you could say that's where it all started. Um, I wish they had at least made it there. It was
Yeah.
frustrating.
Like, have the car crash on the way back. Like, don't have it on the way there.
That's
What a tease.
right. Like, okay, when I saw in the preview for this episode, that's episode 3, that the car accident was happening, I just thought, please let it be on the way back from somewhere where they get some answers. But nope, no such luck.
Yeah, that was disappointing. In the trailer too, it does take away like you almost don't care as much about what they're doing previous to that because you're waiting to see when it's going to happen.
Yeah, the trailers give too much away, actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I'll stop watching them, the episode trailers.
We are halfway through, and we've got 47 people watching, 20 on YouTube, 27 on X. Thank you all for who is watching. Please come on over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe. I am trying to get my watch hours up. Once I get my watch hours up, I will be monetized. So any help is appreciated. And please subscribe to everybody. Everybody's links will be in the description below. Julie puts out fantastic breakdowns on this. Like, if I had maybe a second person like duplicated myself, I could do the amount of work she does. It's amazing. So, and Zax has a great show as well. Zax is
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you.
Oh yeah,
Julie got me thinking this was a game. I think it was today I was listening to your show and you were talking about how the term win is being used so much.
Exactly. And games keep coming up again and again.
Yeah.
It started with the chess in the first episode with Kenny and his dad. And after his dad passed, Kenny told Boyd, it's like, the monsters never run. They only walk because there are only so many spaces on the board. So these game metaphors keep coming up and game terminology. So it could be.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, because I always thought it's been like a chess game where there's like 2 overall players, good versus evil, and then everybody in the town is a chess piece. So the nightmare creatures, the residents of the town, I would even maybe add the spirits that they keep seeing too, and that we'll eventually get a reveal of like who's controlling things. I don't think it's just one particular entity doing both. I really think if this breaks down to just a story about good versus evil. That's my opinion. But
absolutely. And I just want to add this little tidbit too. When Ghost Cautry, the first time he ever appeared to Boyd in season 2, he was sitting there with the chessboard right on the table. And if I'm not mistaken, Boyd only had one chess piece. It was Kenny handed it to him after his dad passed. It was a bloody piece. It had his dad's blood on it. But then you see Ghost Cautry sitting there with the whole chessboard. And when Boyd was not listening to his advice, saying, you need to protect Sarah, don't tell Kenny the truth, Boyd wasn't listening. He starts walking away. Ghost Cautry gets up, follows him, and points that bloody chess piece right at him while he's talking. So it just seems like it's right in your face that he's being manipulated as a pawn. That's what I think. I don't trust that entity at all.
yeah, I agree. I think I at first trusted him. I was like, maybe this is just Boyd's subconscious just trying to get vent because Boyd doesn't really have anybody to rely on. Everybody relies on Boyd. So I felt like him seeing Father at first was like his way of just getting that energy out there, having somebody to share his grief with, having somebody he could be vulnerable with. But as it progresses and shows that this is actually probably an entity of this place, I really think it's sus. I really think he should be doing everything opposite of what this, whatever this is, because it's no longer Father says.
Well, and
I felt the same way. Sorry, I was just going to say I felt the same way. I thought it was Boyd's subconscious at first too. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, and I 100% agree with that as well. It was something I was going to say, so it feels like Zach's agrees and we're cheers all around. But I think that there is a how do I, it's lost to me now. It's just train boarding at the station fell right out of my head.
Happens to me all the time.
I'll own that one. Hey guys, the dead air, that's all me. No, I know what I was going to say now. Father Khatri. Father Khatri is interesting because he's always only there when it's only Boyd. So I wonder if other people could see him, or if it would be select people with a connection, like one of these special connections from, like Sarah or Elgin. I wonder if they would be able to see, Father Khatri. I wonder if eventually one was going to be like, did you see that? Who was that priest talking to Boyd? Something like that.
I don't know. I personally think that everyone who's experiencing visions of any kind, they're the only one that can see it in that moment. That would be my opinion. So I think that like they're each of them has their own mind game being played on them. And I think it would be the same as when Jade was struggling with the Puritan guy who was choking him, and Dale walked up and Jade is struggling with nobody. And,
that's fair.
That's what I think. And like Randall on the bus, he was swatting at the cicadas all around him, and Boyd shows up and there's nothing that's visible to him. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
In fairness, his soul was in a prison.
True.
I think that's probably, I agree with that. And I think that it's interesting that Jade is also now being followed around by a Puritan, is it not? Kind of?
It is.
Of all people.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's just yet another clue that this place is very, very old. It's probably been around since at least the first date in that lighthouse dream that Tabitha had. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, we definitely have evidence that this place is old. Why would we be getting all these historical figures like the Puritan and the Civil War soldier chasing Jade,
I agree. I think my theory still stands. The more I think of it of earlier, where each of these ghosts of like the guy with the nail through the eye, the soldier and stuff are similar to Tabitha. They are all chosen to be there. They're all like a reincarnation of the quote unquote chosen one.
100%. Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
I think we're going to find other older settlements as this goes along. Hopefully we get more of the show, it makes me think, you guys talked about it earlier. I had to duck out there for a second, but is there another community out there right now? Not just one person. Could there be another group, just like Lost on the other side of the island? They had that whole, which didn't go anywhere because it was lost, but could that also be possible here?
It could be. I think that would be fascinating. The only thing that could throw a wrench in them being able to do it is because they only have 10 episodes versus Lost with 20 something, or at least 16 in some seasons. But I would love to see that. I think this probably encompasses more than just that one little town. It's bigger than they think, and there could be more people out there.
I agree. I think we're gonna see it in a next. Well, I don't know if we'll see it in next episode, but I think it's interesting that because I really thought it was a nightmare creature who was walking around outside of the cabin. But if it's actual footsteps, I know somebody theorized that it was a cow. They thought it was gonna replace the food, but if it's an actual like loner out there, I mean, really, honestly, all you need is a totem, right, or some sort of protection, and you're good at night.
Right. Exactly. And I Yeah, I didn't catch it on my first watch, but then somebody told me put on the closed captions, and yeah, it says footsteps departing. So somebody was out there, probably not an animal. Yeah, I can't wait to see.
I like this. What if Sarah begins hearing the voice of Victor's mother and that's why we see him freak out? Maybe. I do think Sarah's a medium or some kind of antenna for the entity because I think it's based off the fact that she was brought up so religious. Because you see that from season 1 that she is susceptible to stuff like that. I think it's just in her background and how she's brought up, and obviously with season 1 her hearing the voices. So I think she could, if she learns how to use it like a superpower, maybe she could hear both.
Yes.
She's a witch, somebody said. Maybe, yeah. Could
Maybe.
be.
Yeah, good idea.
Sarah gets too much hate in that town.
I know. I
I'm on
know.
Team
I say
Sarah.
it too.
I'm on
It's like,
Team
come on,
Sarah.
you guys have all. It's like everybody in that town has seen some real crazy shit, and I'm not saying what she did was okay. I'm not excusing it, but like, can we all admit there's just nightmare creatures that walk around at night that eat your organs, and maybe people are being driven crazy by things and shit happens in that specific instance?
I know Julie's not Team Sarah.
You heard me rant about that the last time.
Well,
I'll be
even
out here
one
on
of
an
your
island by
videos
myself.
too.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I
Team
think
Sarah.
I think everybody's been a little too hard on Sarah. I mean, in this situation, you're hearing voices in your head. You don't know what's going on. You're scared. You do something. Everybody's done something really shitty in this town. I don't think what she did needs to be forgotten, but I think there needs to be a little bit of grace. That's all.
I agree with that. You know, I don't look at her. I don't think she's like a bad person at heart. I do think that she was exploited and manipulated by whatever entity was telling her to do these things. She was lied to, and it exploited what I think is her past trauma. She definitely gives off the vibe that she's been through trauma. She said that her brother saved her when they, ended up in Fromville. Clearly there was a bad situation and he came and saved her. She mentioned her ex and said, it's better that he's not here. Maybe he was abusive. Maybe she had to, defend herself against him and caused him.
Could have gotten married too young based off whatever religious background she has.
Right.
In Christianity too, yeah.
So I'm not without sympathy for Sarah. I just personally think it's not smart to let her wander around because they can't be sure that she's not going to listen to those voices telling her to hurt people or kill people again. But I feel for her. I do.
Fair.
Now that you put it that way, I can understand that. Like, you at least need to have an eye on her to know where she is at all times, which I think Boyd tries to do to his best ability, even though the rest of the town is reliant on her. But it's a little hard to have somebody watch her when half the town's like doesn't even want to be around her.
Right.
That's how that's how they're gonna get rid of Ethan. The town's finally gonna accept her, and like as soon as they're like, okay, Sarah, you're good, she's gonna be like, great, and then just knife the kid.
I mean, look, we had the 3 people who disappeared and were being tortured and chained up inside that in Boyd's dream from last season. Those people are like, they're totally cool now. What's I can't remember his name.
Randall.
Is it not Randall? The other
Randall.
The one that shot him?
No, the one who's in the bus.
Yeah, that's Randall.
Yeah, it's Randall.
Okay, Randall. Yeah, he tried to kill a whole bunch of people. And he's like just fine. He has to sleep in the bus, but that was his choice already. So if he can be around, then Sarah can be around because she's at least nice to look at. And what other reasons do you have?
She's trying to fit it. She's trying to help.
He's
Like,
not.
Actively participating in community.
She's trying to make up for her sins. She's trying to, resolve. Is it resolve for them or whatever? She's trying to like help. She's trying
Repent.
to listen. Repent. She's trying to repent. All of her actions is repent. Randall's just a dick.
Right.
Be saved.
But also like that extra who's banging on the bathroom door, like get rid of her. She's done nothing for anyone. But
on the bathroom door.
keep Sarah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Writers, if you're listening, Zax really does not like that character that was
do
hanging
not.
on him.
Not at all.
Nikki can go.
Nikki can
Good.
go.
I mean, I'm kind of with Nikki. I'm like, if you're a pregnant lady and you're throwing up, go like throw up outside. But at the same time, there has to be more than one bathroom in that whole freaking house.
It's cold outside now. Finally.
True.
Nobody wants to throw up outside in the cold.
Wait, is this future Canada? Is that what this is?
Probably.
Uh-huh.
By the way, I know a lot of people don't like Dale. I kind of find Dale to be the humanity in this, where he's like, man, I just don't want to fucking be here.
Yeah.
Why do I have to do all the work? Like, there's always going to be that one guy.
Remember when I said it earlier? You have a person, you have people. Dale is people.
Yeah. Dale is the American. He's not very Canadian in this. He's not very sorry.
No,
he's not sorry at all.
And
No,
what's that
he's
all
not.
about?
What is that?
Go ahead.
Dale, it was so funny because after Dale accidentally stabbed Ellis, he said sorry like it was just no big deal. Like, oh, sorry. Like it was like, oops, yeah, I just stabbed you. Like, oh my God. But I find him so entertaining. I really hope that he makes it through this night at the cabin. So I just enjoy his scenes. He had some of the best lines in this episode. Like, something about like, maybe we shouldn't touch this ancient holy tower of scary shit. That was funny. I like
Dale
that.
is me. That's why everybody who's watching this can be like, yep, I'm Dale. We shouldn't be touching this shit. We shouldn't be going outside. We shouldn't be doing this. Like,
yes.
You're
Dale
both
has seen
100%
his horror
right.
movies.
You're both 100% right, but Dale is also the guy who's going to make it to the very end, and then you're going to see him wave at somebody in front of a dark doorway. You know how that ends.
And that's it.
Yeah. She's going to get dragged into the darkness. It is his future.
I need more Dale and Jade scenes. I don't recall them ever having scenes together like this, and the two of them have the best lines, if you ask me. It was so enjoyable to watch. I enjoy Dale, and I think he's right. He speaks a lot of sense. He didn't think they should take apart that tower of totems or even be in that area. Like, people need to kind of pay attention to him a little bit more, I think.
I agree.
Even though he's a jerk.
I think it could have been so much better of a show if instead of the bartender, Dale died, and it was Dale hunting Jade. It's like, damn it, Jade, what are you doing with the strings? Like, you're still doing this?
Yes. I would have loved that.
That's just a spin-off show.
The two of them have the funniest, wittiest lines in the whole thing. I love the both of them together. I want more of that.
Was it Dale that freaked out when Victor was taking peaches or something? Was that him?
I think yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Dale's the comedic relief. Like, if the writers have something they want to add that's a little bit of funny, I think that's it. From Lee Theory, some of the trees at the back. Who knocked down the cabin? Oh, is it this one back here?
Yeah, there's some kind of like wreck of a cabin somewhere on that property. There's a cabin. You can't really see it in that shot. And I didn't notice it at first either, but it looks like there was a cabin that was smashed, kind of like the Matthews house was once smashed later on,
Interesting. So it could kind of follow the theory of them having a cycle where it's similarities happening each cycle.
Yes, and it's the same kind of thing with when the Puritan man was tethered to the tree with a piece of what looks like a spike or maybe a railroad spike. And then that's just like what they did to Kelly in season 2, but except it was through her forehead, this piece of rebar. So it does seem like certain things are repeating in every cycle.
Hear me out. What if he's not a Puritan? What if he is literally just like a railroad, like an early railroad worker? Hence the tie. I'm like, then the clothing might still make sense for like a poor Irish, train track worker.
Possible. That's possible. I could see
Oh,
it.
are we gonna get giant spiders? Please, I
Finally?
want to see giant.
We're
spiders.
not getting a giant spider, guys. It's not going to happen. No budget for that stuff.
It's your smoke monster.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
that's
why they're trying
exactly
to
it.
renew for season 4. They're like, look how well season 3 did. Can you put it in the budget for a giant spider?
Yeah. Hell yeah. I would love it.
What if the tie through the eye is just an inside joke from back then that we don't get now?
I think, all jokes aside, Zax, this guy with the nail through the eye, I think it falls in the theory of him being one of the chosen ones, depending on his cycle, and they made him watch as the rest of his town might have been sacrificed or something, or massacred, and they nailed him to the tree.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I could totally see that happening. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's right next to those weird rocks with the blood or red paint or whatever is on them.
Right.
So and that could be a sacrifice circle, depending on, I guess, it could symbolize something. Because it reminds me of season 2. There was rocks in the field that Jade found as well. So
Yep.
I would be curious to see if this is like, because also okay, back up. It also plays into the fact of that soldier with half of his face burnt with one eye too. Maybe he was tortured in some way watching the massacre happen as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it does make you remember Kelly was stuck to the tree with the rebar, forced to watch as the creatures murdered Brian. So yeah, this guy probably was forced to watch something like that too.
That actress was awesome.
She was good.
Yeah.
She was good.
Fun fact, the actors who play Dale and Donna are married in real life, and they have a new grandbaby.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That's fun.
Nice. And yeah, the two of them were in a
Congratulations.
car accident recently. Good thing they're okay. Both of them. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I hope they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been posting on social media that, yeah, it was surprising to hear that. Glad they're okay. I love both of them.
As much as this could be like you guys have said, where he's, forced to watch his people die, I think that this would be something they would do to somebody who sort of swapped sides and worked with the entity to help get the people together and have them be sacrificed. And then at the end, his reward is this.
I agree with Zax. He is drinking from a skull chalice.
He is.
I feel like
He's
that's
a-
definitive evidence of villain.
He's a white dude.
Prove
also.
me wrong.
If he's not the chosen one for his cycle, he could be a gym for their cycle where it's some individual that's slowly being corrupted. Because I know everybody compares Jade to Christopher. I think it's Christopher, right? The one who drew the symbol. And they parallel him that he's going crazy just as much as Christopher is, and he doesn't become a good man. I actually think it's Jim that's being slowly corrupted, and Jade's going to be able to fight back.
Interesting take. Yeah.
And lose an eye in the process.
Friendly Theory, I would love to have you on next Friday because
Oh no!
I think
You're
it's all
feeding into
Norse,
it. Don't feed into her Norse stuff.
Norse mythology. 100%.
Yeah.
Since season 1, I've thought of it as Norse mythology.
Nice.
Odin's sacrifice for wisdom. Chris.
Yeah, he sacrificed an eye. That is a very solid point. Yeah, they're all. Now I'm even more. I didn't even think of that. Now I'm way more strongly on the
Norse train.
Yeah, the Viking god respawn cycle.
A good idea, especially with the tree involved now.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah. Get out of here, Frumley.
He might replace you now, Zach.
I know.
I like it. I like that. I like that theory. It's really interesting.
I like how Jade's like, listen, guys, I understand I agreed to come on this trip to help you, but fuck it. I need to go back to town because I need to figure out my own shit.
Yeah. He shouldn't have been sent out there to begin with. He's a liability. And Dale even comments on it when they're sorting vegetables. He's been losing his shit lately. So why would you send him out there with this group and to to potentially get them all hurt in some way. And I mean, if he hadn't taken off, Christy wouldn't have gotten caught in the bear trap. So that was dumb. They shouldn't have sent him.
I was kind of hoping Christy would have been left, but
I was going to say that, but I don't want to be the bad guy all the time, so I didn't say it. But you beat me to it, Nadia.
By the way,
go
ahead. Sorry.
Also, when you saw there's an ambulance with paramedics showing up now, possibly at the end, did you all think we don't need Christy anymore?
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What a relief that would be.
Also, theorize, tin hat.
Okay.
Let's say we want to corrupt Kenny. Kenny's lost his father, betrayed by one of his father figures, betrayed by his love interest, lost his mom recently. Kid seems to be doing okay. Let's kill Christy off. That's it. That kid's done. He's corrupt to the dark side.
Yeah.
That'll be the last thread that he's hanging from to just try and survive. Like if they take that away, like what's left? What's left for him now? Yeah.
And then we lose two birds with one stone, Christy and Kenny, which I think some of us would be very happy with.
I mean, I love Kenny. Yeah, I don't really care.
I know you do.
I love him. I don't really care for Christy, but I want her to be okay for him. My poor Kenny.
Wow.
Like this place has taken everything from him. Almost everything. It sucks.
I mean, I will say he had the balls this episode to be like, listen, we don't need to be talking about this stuff. We need to get this food done. We need to make sure that we're packing it. We make sure it's put away. We're going to spend the night here and then we're going to go home. People are depending on us. So I was like, oh, okay. Kenny's got his big boy pants on. He's like authority figure going on here. I was totally with it. And then Christy had to be a damsel in distress. Get her leg trapped in a bear trap. Which, by the way, why didn't they check for additional bear traps? Because there could be additional ones underneath that snow.
Well, because they might step in a bear trap. and let's be honest. I want to point out the thing I felt like was really obvious, and maybe it was just me, but like they're definitely going to use that bear trap to catch one of the nightmare creatures.
That's what Rick said in the chat too. I agree now.
I didn't even see that.
I had not thought of that. No, it's a good idea.
I'm stealing everybody's ideas tonight, apparently.
What if there's a good snow cover? What if they just left rakes everywhere? You stepped on the rakes. No?
Snap him in the nose.
We're going full Looney Tunes here.
Yeah, Looney Tunes. That's what I was thinking of.
I'd watch that episode.
Oh, yes.
I would too.
They need to go full on Home Alone. They need to go Home Alone on these monsters. Like set up a bunch of booby traps. That would be great.
You're right. They don't do anything.
Well, like, have they tried spears? I'm like, you just tried to like poking them from a distance. Like, maybe it's just the amount of times they need to be poked. Something like I feel like this entire time you've never seen them try anything except for the bio bullets. I feel like that was the one real actual attempt.
Yep.
Right.
Chris, are you reading this?
I'm not reading anything.
Yeah.
The horns sound void in Sarah here might be a signal from this guardian figure inspired by Heimdall, alerting them to some change or danger in the town dimensional borders. Because you had a theory that the lighthouse always represents a border of some kind.
Exactly, and that could be like a Tower of the Bifrost. That's a good point.
Time out formally theory. How do I do that?
No, I will take away your wrench. Responsible for maintaining orders of the supernatural rule. I love this. I see that it's 3 a.m. there. You are more than welcome to join us next Friday if you are up. Just let me know. I would love to have you on, but I understand it's 3 a.m.
Norse
mythology. Norse.
Yeah. He has great ideas. I actually credited him for part of something in my video that I premiered earlier because I credit him as Wayne Fishing because that was his YouTube account before. And he and Robert Saunders and another friend of mine and Purple Alizé and another friendly friend, they're the ones that actually like figured out that those 4 talismans look like 4 totems look like a talisman. Which I thought was so smart.
Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn here. Okay, I did not have YouTube back when season 1 hit. All right, but from day one, I knew those things were Norse mythology. Chris and I theorized it the
Well, as soon
entire
as you
season 1.
well, because as soon as you see the rune etched stones that hang in their houses, I'm like, it screams Norse.
And there's just like theories of like Loki influence and Odin. It's just there's enough that it fits, right? There's enough of it aligning with Norse mythology that it fits. And usually, you know, the most, what is it? Most actual answer is probably the most realistic, something to that extent. I don't know. Anyway, I completely forgot that the bus driver lady was still alive.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, she was.
I
Where
did
is she
too.
dead? We were wondering where the hell she is, and she finally popped up. It's almost like they threw this little scene to her just so she, we're reminded that she actually exists. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean, but for a brief moment when she actually started doing her, her part, I literally went, "Wow, why are they giving this background so much dialogue?" Like, I'm honestly not trying to be mean. I absolutely forgot her.
Yeah.
Well, she's not wearing her bus driver uniform anymore, so it's impossible to tell her apart.
Right?
I think Ethan's sus. I think there's something going on.
I'm telling you, there's something with him.
Maybe because it's. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
I was just going to say, Ethan is just giving off bad seed, vibes right now. It's that classic horror trope of the creepy kid. It's interesting. I like it. Yeah.
He'll float too.
I like the idea of the water idea, like it's laced with LSD or some kind of drug to keep them. It could be something to keep them compliant, like sedated, that where they don't want to fight back. Could be.
Could be.
I don't know.
And to kind of cloud their judgment and their minds. It would explain why a lot of them are just being irrational, not communicating with each other, and like not really practicing common sense in a lot of cases. So yeah, could be.
So before they did Penguin, they were doing Scarecrow, and that's what this is. It's all fear toxin. I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding.
We all know you can trust the American government, so we all know that they would never, ever have an issue with them having a show do that. I don't think they would ever step in at all and say, we don't want that represented on TV right now. Never happen. Trust your government.
MK Ultra. Listen, I know you're Canadian, okay? And I know there's probably stuff in your water, okay? To be compliant.
There is. Minerals.
What do we think the consequences are going to be of Jade breaking one of those totem things down to help get Christy out?
Probably unleashed something. I don't think it's going to be just. I mean, it could be the monsters. Maybe it's just. I do think it's protecting against something, but I think it would be so much more intriguing if it's a different threat. One of the things out here worse than the monsters that Sarah was talking about in the woods. So I don't know what it could be though. I'm at a loss to try and predict what else it could be. So
I don't think they're much of anything. I think they're actually a little bit of a red herring. I mean, they had, for instance, when you had the footsteps, the footsteps were like right outside the cabin, which would have been inside the totem lines. And they had one of the rune stones to protect the cabin they were in. I think it's a red herring, and they're just spooky looking, or they mean something to the story. They every time a villager died, they made one, something like that.
Maybe.
I think Dale was the voice of the audience here when he went and said, "What are you doing?"
Yes, exactly. Dale is. He's a dick, but he's like, he speaks common sense. He really does. He's like, we shouldn't disturb this, holy tower of scary shit. And I think he's right, personally. We'll see.
All right. One of the last things I want to talk about before we get to the final part of this episode is Tilly's tarot card reading. And there's a lot of theories of what the bird could mean that happened. So, she sees Fatima eating rotten food. She tries to go comfort her by saying, I licked the inside of eggshells, which is weird.
Yeah.
I would dig them out of
Red
the
flag.
garbage too. Yeah, red flag, huge red flag. And Fatima worried. She just wants to know if her baby's okay. And Tilly goes, okay, I know how to figure this out. Let's do a tarot card reading. And I love this where Fatima's like, you're a kooky old lady. Like this kooky Tilly bit is not going to fly with me anymore, which I agree with you, Julie. I think it's the writer's way of nodding to the audience that we all know that Tilly's sus. Like there's something going on with Tilly here. But what do we think the crow is? I believe it's a crow, right? Not a raven, a crow that, or maybe it's a raven. They look very similar.
I think it's a crow because in the show, a lot of people like go back and forth thinking it's a raven, but in the show, the only mention of ravens was episode 1 where Tabitha said, I don't think it was a crow. I think those were ravens, and it's called an unkindness of ravens versus a murder of crows. But no ravens have ever been mentioned since. So I tend to think it's crows. Yeah.
Or it could be Odin's ravens.
Could be.
Hugin and Munin?
Yeah. Ravens are huge. And Ellis's shirt has a bird on it that looks like a raven too after it crashes into him. I don't like the fact that we don't actually get the reading. Like she's about to say something and the look on her face is just, there's something going on. There's something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the facial expressions. It's sus.
My pickup from that was that the Crow and Tilly are definitely outside forces, but doesn't necessarily mean aligned forces.
Mm-hmm.
Could Tilly be?
I mean, why would it be? Because why would it be interrupting itself? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So she's on, like, they're definitely not on the same side. If she's working towards some type of entity, I agree. It's got to be.
She might be just Team Tilly, and you know what? So am I.
Yeah, could just be that. Just be that too.
I like Wild says it's not a crow. It's too small to be It's not a crow. It's too small to be a raven. You mean? Wait a minute. It is a raven. It's too.
No, ravens are. I think ravens are bigger. So
Yeah,
it can't be a raven. It's too big to be. Too big to be a raven. It's a crow.
Interesting.
It's a strong crow to break through the window like that.
Right. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed so much at that. I thought that was hilarious.
I felt that for Ellis, man. He woke up.
Right.
Just wants a nap.
He finally got a little sleep. The poor kid's been afraid to go to sleep for a while, and it was so funny though. Of all the things I had on my From Bingo card for season 3, crow crashing through the window attacking people wasn't one of them.
No.
That was hilarious. Love it.
Yeah. I would be intrigued. Well, they do see crows or ravens when the Jim and Tabitha's family shows up, right?
Yes.
Above them that's flying when they first stumble across at least stumble across the tree.
Yes. Yeah, big swarm of them came out of nowhere. And Donna later told Tabitha that everyone sees the tree and those mother effing crows, so yeah.
Can I share a personal horror story quickly here?
Sure.
Okay. Growing up, we had a giant, like the biggest crabapple tree you can ever imagine in our front yard. Lots of crab apples. And when they would get fermented, birds would eat them and then they would get drunk. And Google it if you don't believe me. And so they would start running into the house, like into the windows. Some of them were crows, some robins, whatever, sparrows, and they would smack into, and like they were clearly like not flying right. And so my house was like a house of horrors growing up. And then they'd also get into the house some way, and so we'd find birds in our house all the time. And if they were drunk, they were probably more fun. But it's like when you open your window and there's a bird stuck between panes, it's not a great find for a kid. Let me tell you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nasty. I felt bad looking at this crow, even though it was fake. I just felt bad. Yeah, I didn't like that part. Poor crow.
No.
This guy just hit it. This extra just reached up and hit the thing. It crashed into the lamp and just that. And I heard the actor who plays Elgin. He said that it was actually funny to watch because the guy was swiping at nothing. Obviously, that was a CGI crow. They did a good job with it. I liked it.
Well, so I just wanted to bring up some points because Kayla can't be here tonight, but she did text me. She said she's starting to think that this is a parallel universe, mirrors universe. The raven breaking into the window during a tarot card reading has a lot of symbolism and superstition. Depending on the culture in general, the bird in the house can be a real bad omen. But they also have some positive stuff too. So interesting.
Like that. Yeah. Very interesting. And it could be that it's the crazy thing. We're now into season 3 and there are so many possibilities that this could still be. I think this season will start to narrow it down, hopefully, so we can, at least get some answers. But yeah, it could be a parallel universe. It definitely seems like a bad omen. And I think that the crow did that. I think Fatima was about to get some kind of insight. She asked the cards, "Is my baby okay?" I think that some entity that apparently could control the crow did not want her to see that. That's what I think.
Yeah, they'd rather just have her stressed out the entire time, wondering if her kid's going to be okay. Like, to me, if I was the evil entity, I'd be like, yeah, sure, your kid's fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. This, eating rotten food, it's fine. You'll be fine until the last minute and be like, sucks to be you. You give birth to a nightmare creature.
Yeah, it'll just rip out of her like Alien. Just bust out of her. Yeah. And it did, when she told Donna she was pregnant in season 2, she said, "I feel like this place is trying to torture me." And she's right. That's absolutely what's happening.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, this episode ends on a very interesting note, right? So in the car, Tabitha actually finds the bracelet that she made for Jim that she found also in From last season. And I think it falls in the theory that I've seen a lot of people see, that Tabitha is a reincarnation of Miranda. But and this also ends with her freaking out on Henry, and Henry's like, "No, we're going." We're like, this crazy lady showed up, said she knew my son, like, we're going. And then they get T-boned, wakes up in a ambulance, and they end up in From again. You see the tree. Everybody who was watching knows what that means, which I think falls in line with the future episode where I saw where the ambulance was there and the cop was there as well. But what do we think about the bracelet? I feel like the bracelet wasn't highlighted very much in the last 2 seasons.
No.
It wasn't.
What do we think?
It was that really messed with my head. I've been struggling for a while to explain what the bracelet could be, and this changed my theory on it. I was thinking that Miranda, maybe, how physical things have been pulled from dreams on this show. Like Elgin was spitting up water when he woke up. We didn't see it, but we heard about it later. And Kenny got a real burn on his arm from a dream. So I was thinking, well, maybe Miranda pulled the bracelet from a dream in like a premonition thing. But now I've changed my mind. I think, honestly, it just comes down to Miranda made 2 bracelets, just like she made 2 bottle trees because she loved them so much. She saw the bracelet in a vision along with other stuff that she painted. And I think I think it's a matter of she made 2 bracelets, gave one to Henry, wore one herself, got to Fromville. And I think that explains that part of it. And then Tabitha made her own. And then as far as Tabitha finding it in the diner, now this is where it gets kind of tinfoily and hard to wrap your head around. But I think it's possible that this place can duplicate things. So, and the reason I say that is because some really eagle-eyed person, I wish I knew who it was, but this has been kind of circulating around. There's a picture from Henry's computer. You can see a sticker on it that has it's cut off. You can only see the head of a woman drawn on. It's like a, cartoon image of a woman. And someone actually looked at the suitcase that they found down in the cave, Tabitha and Victor. That suitcase had the same sticker of that woman on it. It also had a bird cage. It looked a lot like Henry's bird cage in his basement. So I think it's possible Fromworld, like Fromland, kind of can duplicate things from the real world. That could explain how Tabitha found one in the diner. Maybe. It's a lot to wrap my head around. I'm still working it out. But yeah, I mean, how weird is it that that bracelet was just sitting on top of a stack as if waiting for her to find it? Just another mind game, I think. But yeah, it's a lot. The bracelet thing, it's a lot. Yeah.
What do you Zach's Chris, any thoughts on the bracelets and then her circling back into From?
What was the song that was on the radio?
Blue.
Yes.
Urgent says it's actually not a good couple song. It's a song about
Okay.
drugs in the end of the 60s.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
My only real thought on the bracelets is I don't think they have any real significance, probably just past connecting story points. I don't think they're going to be like, any kind of relic in helping them defeat anything. I think it's just helping put clues together. That's really my only thoughts on it.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think people are focusing on it so much. The show hasn't even focused on it that much. Honestly, when I watched season 2, I didn't even notice Miranda was wearing it. I didn't spot that. It was just a quick shot. But I think people are making more out of it than there really is. And a lot of people think that it's time travel related, which who knows, it could be. A lot of things are still possible. It's just not my theory. I don't agree with that one.
I think you're probably right. I don't think it's that there's much to it except for it's a connection between these people who may have gone to this place, and they're honestly like the weirdness of their interaction in the car. It distracted me from everything else I was supposed to be paying attention to, because that was just like the most awkward, strange thing when he's freaking out and she's freaking out, and it just seemed out of character for both. I know why they did it. It was just what they had to do, but it was just it kind of took me out of it.
Yeah. My last question before we wrap up is, do we think we're going to get a Victor and Henry reunion next episode, and how do we think that might play out?
Yes, I think so. The 2 new cast members that were announced by the show before the season started were the new cop that was on the ambulance with the blonde hair. That's Acosta, and Henry, Victor's father. So I think it would really be a letdown if he only appears in 4 episodes and that's it. It's possible they announced him even though it's just 4, but I tend to think that he's going to stick around, and it will be really interesting. I think for once they actually created a really strong new character that people can connect with, because to be honest, the bus people just weren't doing it for me compared to the original cast.
Well, he's interesting because he's actually effectively totally normal because he's been in the real world the whole time. But I don't think he'll meet Victor in the next episode. They'll give Victor an episode to him and Ha over the fact that his unconscious father's in town first. But, I mean, he'll wake up.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope he stays in it, because he's a good actor, and I've liked him so far. And I want to see how that resolves. I think that may be important to show how the show is going to resolve. I hope they don't do the thing where they will, they won't, they meet thing. I don't want that. Don't do that. Listen to me.
Yeah.
But will they or won't they?
Oh, no. Don't do that.
No, please no. He's a great new character. I agree. He's really interesting. His performance is so impressive. He had real tears in his eyes for some of his scenes. I really like him. And I think, it will be interesting seeing his grown-up son who's like a man-child now. It's going to be a lot for both of them to process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think what a lot of people thought this might have been just a filler episode. I think we actually got a lot more out of this in the episode 2. And I think things are about to pick up. I think we're about to get things moving in motion in the next episode. And then, because I think we're about halfway through the season, 8 episodes, right? 8 or 10 episodes.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah, it'll be a total of 10 episodes. And I know a lot of people thought it was filler, but I don't think so. I think I'm with you. I think we actually got more out of it than episode 2, because so much of episode 2 was focused on Tien Chen's passing, and that everyone reacting to the news and the grief and all of that. And so honestly, I felt like this episode moved to the plot forward more than episode 2. We got, the group out near the cabins, Christy and the bear trap, encountering the totems. And, I know it's setting up what's going to happen next there, but we got more Jade visions. I love seeing those. Like, we got, what else do we get? Boyd is, enacting his plan. We got more Father Kotri. I love him.
Me too.
And the Tabitha stuff, now that was moving the plot forward, even though I know it disappointed a lot of people. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't understand that idea of that it's filler. I don't think this show doesn't do a ton of filler. There's not enough episodes to do that with, and if you like the characters, spending time with them, it's not. I don't see that as being filler. That's just me. And I want to see more. I'd love them to drag out these storylines a bit more, flesh them out instead of throwing new stuff at us every week. So I wouldn't call it filler at all.
100%.
I just want to completely derail everything because I was distracted by the fact that Christy and the Bear Trap and Jade Visions both sound like bands you'd hear at a Battle of the Bands. And I'm here for Christy and the Bear Trap.
No.
Well, thank you everybody who joined us today. Julie, where can people find you? And everybody's links will be in the description below, by the way.
Thank you for doing that. And so yeah, my channel is Julie B Deep Dives, and I put out 2 or 3 theory videos and episode analysis for From every week. And I do live streams either Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights, and then every Thursday night too.
Very cool. Zax, where can people find you next?
Tomorrow night, Circle of Jerks, 10 o'clock. We're moving it earlier because last week people seemed to like that. So 10 p.m. Central tomorrow night, Circle of Jerks, and then Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central, What's Good Wednesday. So, yeah, it's. Let me know if you like the earlier time or not. If you do watch the Saturday show, and if you don't watch it, you should watch it. So come sub,
It's a good
and
time.
yeah, we have fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I need to do some earlier ones too. I usually do my lives at like 10 p.m. Eastern, and it ends up being a late for a lot of people. I might do some a little earlier.
Yeah, earlier keeps me awake. Later makes me have to watch the replay. What's the theme for Wednesday? Do we know yet?
No, not yet. But I have some. I've got Niet's going to come on the show for the first time. Films, Comic Explained. Squeak is going to come back on the show Wednesday. So, don't have a topic yet, but I'll have one soon.
Chris, what about you?
Me, you can generally find me almost nowhere. You can find me here on random occasions and on our Penguin live stream, which you can tell them all about.
Yes. Before I even plug myself, again, I'm putting the link in the chat. This is for Leon's show tonight. It's to help with Sonia. Sonia is one of us, one of our YouTube mods and in the community. And if you could be so kind as join his show tonight, all super chats will be going to donations to Sonia to help. So link is in the chat. Please do so if you can, or just share the stream too. That helps as well. If you can't financially contribute, just share the stream. As myself, I will be back on Sunday on Gooch's channel for Late Night with the Gooch. Monday over on Inside All Day for the Penguin. And then I should be dropping a Smile review and a Hellboy Crooked Man review on this channel as well. Horror Tuesdays will be now live, and that will be dropping I'll go live every Tuesday with news on horror. So come on over. And I also just today did a Terrifier 3 stream because I went to see it last night. I suffered for you folks. Went to go see the Terrifier.
Thank you.
That's
you're welcome.
extreme for me. I've never
I
seen
did a
them
double feature.
Oh
I did a double feature 2 and 3 by myself. By myself.
Wow, Chris,
so, here you go.
Chris, your man card's been pulled.
You can have it.
Speaking of man cards, so in 2 weeks,
Stealing my man card and my heart. What?
Next Saturday, we are doing a special show with Saturday night with ladies only Circle of Jerks. So get ready for that.
Yep.
Nice.
You can call it what it is. It's
I
called
bet it has a
Clam
real
Jam.
fun name that somebody cool came up with.
AKA Clam Jam.
Yes, once a month.
That'd be great.
You're welcome. It's gonna be good.
All right. Well, everybody, please subscribe to everybody on the panel. Again, descriptions are below. We'll be back next Friday with the next episode. Until then, I hope everyone has a great weekend and stay Spooky.
Keep it creepy.